Okay, guys, here we go. That thing wants to work today. Okay, hold on. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and go over the different types of bones. Okay, a couple stats to remember. There are 206 bones, there's 206 bones in an adult. Okay, there's 270 in a child or somebody that has not fully matured. Does anybody have an idea why there's such a big difference between the two? So basically, you guys are closer to that 270, and I'm in the 206. So can you say that louder so everybody can hear you?
Maybe our bones haven't fused together.
Right, so maybe your bones haven't fused together all the way? Like in your head? Okay, absolutely. How many of you guys have had younger brothers and sisters or family members, and when they're born, their little skulls are so soft and they have little soft spots?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's because it's still developing. Okay, the same thing's going on. As you are going through puberty, and all the way up from the day you were born until after you're fully matured, your bones are starting to fuse together. Okay, and that's where we lose our numbers. So instead of it being maybe 2 bones, they turn into 1. It's either their own like crazy thing. Okay, we have 4 main types of bones that we see in the body. Okay, we have long, short, flat, irregular. These names clearly are a whole lot easier to remember than the ones of our muscles. Okay, so we're going to learn the differences about these 4. The first ones that we have are the long bones. Okay, the long bones are used as levers, and what that really means is that with cooperation with our muscles, they are the ones that help to produce greater movement. All right. And the biggest example of this is you can move your arms and legs more than you can move like your pinky, right? Your little fingers and your toes, right?
Yes.
Good. Thank you, Adriel, who wasn't even in here at the beginning. He can answer that question. Okay. Yes, you can. And that has to do with the muscle and the longer bones working together. Okay. Our examples that we see is the humerus, the radius, ulna, and femur. Does anybody know where the humerus is? Say it loud. Your upper arm is the humerus. What about the radius and the ulna? Bailey? They're your forearms, all right? Your forearms, your lower arms, all right? And what about our femur? Your thigh. It's your thigh bone, okay? We're going to hit those more again later. All right, our next type is the short, okay? Short bones. We see these mainly in our wrists and our ankles, okay? These are kind of deceiving, okay? These bones actually just kind of glide on top of one another. Okay, you can see, here's a picture of our hand, all right, and our wrist. There are 8 carpal bones, okay? Now, we all know that we can flex and extend our wrist, okay? But these bones do not act like our hinge joint that flex and extends, okay? They actually just glide. They kind of slide on top of one another. Yes, Bailey? The carpal tunnel, there's an actual little tunnel that lives right across these your wrist bones, and it's very narrow. And so when people get carpal tunnel, it's usually swollen and inflamed, so they go in and they have to kind of like dig it out and make it all nice and smooth again. Okay. Okay, so our carpal bones and our tarsals. Tarsals are the bones in our ankle. Carpals are the bones in our wrists. Okay. And they are mainly used just to glide on top of one another. All right. Does anybody else have an idea where a short bone might be? Well, we already said our tarsals are our ankles. What else? What else could be maybe a short bone? Anybody have an idea? A short bone. What about our fingers and our toes? Yeah. Boom. Fingers and our toes. Okay. All right, our next type is flat. Okay, our flat bones are used for protection. Okay, we've already mentioned the skull. We talked about the rib cages the other day. All right, these guys are used to help protect. All right, protecting the brain. We're protecting those internal organs. Okay, they're also used for muscle attachments because they're very big. Okay, and they're flat. They don't have a lot of crazy things sticking off of them. Okay. It's a big space that muscles can attach to without it being too crazy. All right. Ashley, put your head up, please. So our examples here, we have our cranial bones, which is our head. All right, our cranium. Ribs, our sternum. Can somebody remind me where our sternum is?
That's right.
Yes, your breastbone. All right, right in your chest. Okay. And then our last one is our scapula. Does anybody know what our scapula is? Scapula. Any guesses?
It's not that little teeny tiny one, is it?
Nope. Scapula is your shoulder blades. Shoulder blades. Okay. All right. Our next type is what we call irregular because it kind of fits in its own category. Okay. It's not very big, but it's bigger than the smalls. And it's not flat. It's got a whole lot of crazy points off of it. Okay. So that's why it's kind of irregular. Kind of doesn't fit anywhere else. Okay. Our examples that we see here is our vertebrae, which is what the picture is showing you. Okay, because you can see our spinal cord. It's got all these little what we call spinous processes that stick off. Okay, and those have to do with our nerves, so we don't really get much into those. And some of our bones in our skull are considered the irregular bones. Okay, these are mainly just for structure. Okay, they kind of do a lot of crazy things. Like I said, mostly with our nerves. All right, and there's another picture that just shows you a couple different types of bones. Okay, does anybody know what that irregular bone is showing? It's our hip. It's our pelvis. Okay, it's actually one side of our pelvis. All right. There is actually one more type of bone that is kind of its own category, but we'll talk about that later. It's a sesamoid bone. Okay, sesamoid. All right. That's our slides for today. Okay, it wasn't anything too crazy.